The flower fades into just a little bit of the pink. So it's always a kind of a pinkish hue around here. We also have just a few, not very many, a few other color around here, light and darker pinks, so that the general hue that you're going to see is pink. Oh, incidentally, they don't really have an aroma. Now, some people say they have a very slight almond scent to them. I've never been able to detect that myself, but some people really do have a better nose than I do. But generally, they're considered to be, the cherry blossoms are considered to be scent-free, but perhaps a little bit of an almond scent. Now, we actually have a total of 12 varieties of trees in the park. Most of them are the Yoshinos, about 2/3 of all the trees. The next quantity would be Akebono. That's the next most popular. And then we have several other varieties. In some cases, we have 6 or 12 or 15 of various trees. Generally, I can't tell the difference between them at all. I'm sorry. Some people are much better at flowers than I am. And most people can't either, as a matter of fact. I talked to our park horticulturalist. Now, some of them are obvious, I suppose, but some of them he'll tell you, oh, what this particular tree is, and he'll remember because he remembers the purchase order for this and the circumstances about this tree and the other 4 or 5 trees that came with it. But this does appear to be one of the Yoshinos like the others. That's a great question. Another question for me.
All the Japanese gifted trees, were they concentrated to this tidal basin area?
Yeah, the question is about where they were. The original, if you go back to 1910 when the original discussion started, we were asking for a gift of trees, and the original trees, unfortunately, as I told you, were diseased, but in 1912 the trees came and they were almost all put right here on the tidal basin. There were about 2,000 trees at that time, and they were put around the tidal basin here. Now, what happened is in later years we did get another gift of trees, and so then we added trees down as you go down toward Haines Point, that whole peninsula down there on both sides. And that certainly has a number of Yoshinos, but it has a lot of variety of other trees down there as well. And then over the years, you know, these trees on average are lasting maybe 45 or 50 years for us. Now, we do have a few that are 100 perhaps, but generally they only are going to last that period of time. So as we lose those, we're trying to replace them with the same tree, the same species of tree, and generally in the same location. Because we have a landscape plan, and it's pretty, and we want to keep it this way. And one of the wonderful effects is having all the same type of tree with the same colors around the tidal basin. We do have one problem with that. That's called a monoculture. And when you have all of the same plant, whether it be a crop or a tree, that are all the same kind in the same place, then if you get a problem with the weather being too hot or too cold, or a particular kind of disease or insect, then if it affects one, it affects them all. So a little bit of a risk to that. Someone had their hand back there. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I walked down to Haines Point today, and I'm wondering, why is this...
I'm going to come closer because I can't hear.
I walked down to Haines Point today, and I was wondering, this is federal land? You can really see the difference.
Yes.
And that's district land?
No, this is all federal land.
Even Haines Point?
Haines Point is part of this national park. Now, oh, it's a wonderful story. Let me share with you just for a minute. Back in 1792, it was decided, well, in 1790 it was decided we needed a place to have our nation's capital. And it was decided that it would be a square 10 miles on a side. And George Washington selected this place in 1792. Okay, and it's a square, but it was turned sideways. It looks like a diamond. You probably have seen it on the map. Now, by the way, most of that, 70% of that land came from Maryland, about 30% came from Virginia. What happened in the early 1800s is we gave that part that came from Virginia, the other side of the Potomac River, we gave it back to Virginia. So Washington, D.C. is never going to be that big a city to need all that land, was the thought. So Washington, D.C. is only on this side. It's now 72 square miles, and it's all you've heard of it called the District of Columbia? Mm-hmm. Well, that was 1792. What happened in 1492? Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So in 1792, it was the 300th anniversary. So they decided they ought to call the city Columbus. And then somebody said, no, we'll call it Washingtonopolis. They argued back and forth. They ended up calling it the City of Washington in the Federal District of Columbia. Now, District of Columbia does have land as well, ma'am, but we're part of 2,000 acres that belong to the federal government. This area is called the National Mall. Now, National Mall really runs from the Capitol down to Lincoln, but this is all part of that special park. We have to compete with helicopters. No, that's not him. President. Just in case I knew you wanted to know. So